In 21.2, we're talking about the straight line. Now, we've already talked about the slope-intercept form. That's the form of y equals mx plus b. This is called the slope-intercept because from this form, we can identify the slope and also the y-intercept. And we know the coordinates of an intercept are always 0, comma, and whatever that value of b is. We're going to be looking at another form today, which is called the point-slope form. This form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Now this will look very familiar to you because of the slope formula. If we would take this bit right here, this x minus x1, and move it underneath the y's here, that would be the slope formula. M equals the difference of the y's divided by the difference of the x's. Now, the point slope is helpful because when we have a form in point slope, we can identify the slope, just like up before, and also a point on the line x1, y1. So x1, y1 is a point on the line. This is different from the slope-intercept form because this point can be any point on the line, not just the intercept. So we're going to be using the point-slope form to build equations in slope-intercept. So the first example here, find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form that passes through the given point for -4, 1 with a slope of 1/2. Well, we know that our final answer needs to be slope-intercept, which is y equals mx plus b. However, we don't know what the intercept is, so we can't just use the slope-intercept form. We have this point, which would be this x1 and y1, and we also know our slope of -1/2. So before we can get to slope-intercept, we need to use point-slope because we know a point and the slope. So we have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And then we have to substitute our values in. Well, we have y minus our y1, which is a positive 1, equals our m times x minus. Now, just like when we were working with the slope formula, it's minus a negative. So that x1 is a -1, so we have x minus a -4. Now, we have this form built, but we need to solve for y now to get it into slope-intercept. So we need to solve for y equals mx plus b. So in order to solve for y here, first thing we have to do is distribute that -1/2. So I'm going to come up here and do it. Boop. So we get y minus 1 equals -1/2 x. Well, we could always rewrite this as x plus 4. And then we have to distribute a -1/2 to a 4, which would leave us with a -2. Last step, add 1 to both sides. We get -1/2 x. -2 plus 1 is -1. And that would be our final answer. Okay, in the next example, we want to find the equation of a line in slope-intercept form. So again, we know we have to get y equals mx plus b that passes through the 2 points. So now a lot of times we approach this, we're like, how am I supposed to get from 2 points to that? Like, I don't even know how to connect 2 points to an equation. Well, start by doing anything that you can think of that you can do. And if we think of 2 points, we could think, wait, I don't know, I can find the slope. So that's what we can start with. Start by doing something that you know how to do. So first, we want to find the slope. So we have x1 and y1, x2 and y2. So we have 2 minus a -1 over 6 minus 2. Well, this would be 2 plus 1 is 3, 6 minus 2 is 4. So now we have a slope. So now we think about, okay, now what information do I know? Well, I know the slope and I also know 2 points. And then right then it should click, wait a minute. If I know a point and a slope, I can use point slope, right? If you know a point and a slope, you can use point slope. So now next, we want to use point slope. Now we know 2 different points. In this case, it doesn't matter which one you use. So we have y minus, I'm going to go with the ones that already have y1. So y minus, which would be a -1, equals our m, which is 3/4, times x minus x1, which is 2. We know this would be y plus 1 equals 3/4 x, and this would be minus 3 times 2 would be 6 over 4, or you could write that as 3/2. It wouldn't matter. So then the last thing we have to do here is we need to take a negative 6/4 here, and we need to subtract 1 from it to get the y isolated. And when we do that, we're getting y equals 3/4 x, and this would be minus 5 over 2. So now we have our equation in slope-intercept form. You can always check this by typing this into your calculator to graph it and just double check that those 2 points do fall on that line. Or you can just take these points and substitute them in for x and y and just be sure that it makes the equation true. Okay, next page. We're talking about vertical and horizontal lines. Well, we know a vertical line is a line that goes straight up and down. So a vertical line would look something like this. Now, the equation of a vertical line, since it doesn't cross the y-axis at all, there isn't any y in the equation. Since it only touches the x-axis, the equation would be x equals, and then some value where it crosses through. And we can see here that this would be the equation of x equals, this would be -3, because it's crossing through at -3. Now, the next thing we have to talk about these is what is the slope of this line? Well, there's a couple ways we can figure it out. If we were to pick, say, 2 points on this line, say we chose this point and this point, and we were to use the slope formula, we could figure out what the slope is. So what I want you to do is choose 2 points. If you want to use those 2, you can, or choose 2 of your own points, and then find the slope of this line. And you will notice here that when we find the slope, no matter which points you choose, you're getting some value divided by 0. Well, we can never, ever, ever divide by 0. So therefore, the slope is undefined. So we can say that all vertical lines have an undefined slope. That will be true no matter where that vertical line is, it will always have an undefined slope. So now, let's look at a horizontal line. Well, we know a horizontal line runs from right to left. So let's see this horizontal line. Now, we could find the slope the same way, meaning if you were to choose any points on this line, say this one and this one here, you could find the slope. Now, just to kind of save some time here, I'm going to skip over that and just tell us what it is. We notice that these 2 points would have the same y value. Since y values are in the numerator, that means it's going to be a 0 in the numerator, which means the slope will be 0. So all horizontal lines have a slope of 0. All horizontal lines, no matter where they are, will have a slope of 0. Again, you could find that by choosing 2 points and using the slope formula. Also with this, we know the equation of horizontal lines, since it's only touching the y, will only have a y in it. So therefore, the equation of this line would be y equals, and where is it crossing at? The -3. Okay, now, for the example 3, we want to find the equation of a line that passes through this point, but it has to be parallel to the y-axis. Use the grid below for assistance. So I want you to try out this. Try plotting this point, think about what parallel to the y-axis would mean, and see if you can come up with an equation, meaning you need to have an equal sign. Try it out and then unpause the video to see how you did. Okay, well, first thing I did is plotted the point 2, 3, and I also noted my x and my y-axis so I can see. So I need to find the equation of a line that goes through this point here, but that's parallel to the y-axis. Well, the only way I could even draw a line parallel to the y-axis through that point would be a line like this. That would be parallel to the y-axis, and it goes through that point. So now what we need to do is come up with the equation of that line. Well, since that line only touches the x-axis, we know it has to be x equals something. Then we think, well, okay, where is it crossing the x at? Or what are all the x values of all the points on that line? Right, x equals 2. So that would be the equation of that line. Lastly, we have a couple practice exercises, and these are some of the same things that we've done in this section, or just kind of applying the concepts in maybe a slightly different way. What I'd recommend you doing is pausing the video and trying out these couple practice exercises using the information that we just talked about in this section, and then unpause it and check your answers with mine. Okay, check your answers there and look at my work if you need to, and let me know if you have any questions. That's all we have for 21-2. Have a great day.